It was supposed to be a peaceful getaway, a break from the suffocating buzz of the city. Liam, Miranda, and Elena had driven deep into the heart of the Smoky Mountains, where the air smelled of damp earth and the canopy of towering pines swallowed the sun. They rented a remote cabin, nestled on the edge of an ancient forest untouched by time. Something about it seemed dreamlike, a sanctuary carved out of the chaos of their everyday lives. Elena was the first to notice it, the stillness. At first it felt serene. The wind didn't whistle. It sighed softly. The forest didn't tremble with the scuttling of small creatures or the flutter of birds. "We're off the grid," Liam had joked, raising his phone to the empty signal bar. But the silence started to take on weight. By the third day, it wasn't calming anymore. It was suffocating. Even the trio's laughter over campfire games and wine died strangely fast in the damp, motionless air, as though the forest drank every sound before it could echo. "Have you noticed how weird this place feels at night?" Miranda muttered one evening, her voice barely breaking a whisper. Liam snorted, tossing another log into the fire pit that cracked and hissed like it was protesting. "Every forest is creepy at night. You're just overthinking it." But Elena didn't laugh. She tugged her jacket tighter against her shoulders and lowered her voice. "It's not just the nights. Haven't you noticed? No animals, no birds, even in the daytime. It's like nothing lives out here." The trio fell silent. The fire snapped cheerfully, a sharp contrast to the growing unease. Liam rubbed his hands together and moved closer to the flames. "It's a mountain thing, right? Bigger predators around, so everything else stays quiet?" He didn't sound convinced, but no one challenged him. That night, no one slept well. Elena swore she heard soft footsteps circling the cabin. When she finally dared to peek through her curtain, she saw nothing but endless, impenetrable blackness. Miranda woke covered in cold sweat, her dreams plagued by images she couldn't piece together. A stark white face, eyes as hollow as the moon, long fingers coiling around tree bark like they could peel the life from it. Even Liam, who prided himself on his practicality, found himself staring at the ceiling for hours, his heart pounding for no reason he could name. On the fifth day, Miranda vanished. "Maybe she went hiking early," Liam said, though his voice trembled as he scanned the empty horizon beyond the porch. Her hiking boots were still sitting neatly by the door. The thought hung in the air, unspoken. Miranda hated hiking. They searched all day, calling until their throats were raw. The forest swallowed their cries until it was as though they'd never made a sound. Everywhere, their boots pressed into the loam, they found no tracks, no sign of her. It was almost like she'd dissolved. As dusk crept in, they returned to the cabin in silence, the dark pressing in like an unwelcome guest. Then came the scratching. It began just after midnight, soft and deliberate, clawing against the wooden walls of the cabin. Liam bolted upright in his bunk. "Do you hear that?" he hissed. Elena nodded, clutching the edge of her blanket. The sound wasn't frantic, like an animal trying to claw its way into safety. It was slow, calculated, like something testing the strength of the barriers between them and the night. Liam grabbed the flashlight and moved toward the front door. Elena clung to his sleeve, desperate to stop him. "Don't," she pleaded. "It's not an animal." He shook her off. "It's probably Miranda. Maybe she got lost and found her way back." The words rang hollow, even as he whispered them to himself. The door creaked open, and the beam of the flashlight swept across the clearing. Nothing. Only the yawning black of the forest staring back. Liam stepped forward cautiously, but when the beam of light grazed the tree line, it caught something. A face. Or at least, that's what Liam thought it was, pale and blank, hanging impossibly high between the trees. The flashlight trembled in his hand, the light darting away as his breath caught. "Hello?" he croaked. No response, just the sound of something shifting. Slowly, impossibly, the pale face tilted, as if it were observing him. "Elena," Liam whispered, his voice cracking. "Get inside. Lock the door." The thing began to move. It didn't step like a human, or even prowl like an animal. It unfurled, stretching unnaturally in too many directions, its long, spindly limbs wrapping and unwrapping around the trees as it advanced. Liam stumbled back, slamming into the cabin door. "Get inside now." They bolted the door and doused the lights. Whatever it was, it didn't try to break in, but the scratching came again, louder this time, invasive and unrelenting, circling the cabin until it seemed to scrape against their minds. When dawn broke, the forest looked almost peaceful again. There was no sign of Miranda, no sign of the thing they'd seen, if it had even been real. But the scratches remained, gouged deep into the wood like a warning. By the time the sun climbed high enough to pierce the fog, Liam and Elena were already gone, racing back to their car with nothing but the clothes on their backs. They never spoke of it again, but weeks later, when the local ranger eventually found the cabin, it was abandoned, its walls clawed to shreds. The front door hung open. The clearing was silent as death. They never found Miranda or Liam and Elena. All they ever recovered was an old flashlight, its battery drained, lying just at the edge of the woods where the trees had begun to whisper once more.